Ever wished you had a genius sidekick for homeschool planning? Well, meet ChatGPT, your virtual homeschool assistant. I'm going to show you 7 ways that ChatGPT can level up your homeschool game while also saving you time. Okay, real quick, let me break down what ChatGPT actually is. It's basically a computer program that can talk like a real person. Its creators trained it on tons of text from all over the place. Books, websites, social media, you name it. So it learned all sorts of things, including how to use language like we do. Which means that when you chat with ChatGPT, it can actually understand what you're saying and give you answers that sound like a human being. I mean, when I first tried it, I was blown away. For a second, I thought it was all a giant scam and that I was chatting with a real live person. And then, as I was thinking about homeschooling for next year, it occurred to me that ChatGPT could actually be super useful. After all, when it comes to modern methods for homeschooling, it doesn't get much more modern than artificial intelligence. So let's get started. Have you ever found yourself struggling to explain a difficult concept to your little ones? Well, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes we just can't seem to find the right words to make it click. But ChatGPT can help with that. It can help you break down complex ideas into bite-sized pieces that your kids will understand. All you have to do is log in and start a new chat, then ask ChatGPT to explain the concept to you like you're a 5-year-old. For instance, you could ask, "Can you explain how rainbows are made like I'm 5?" I know, not the best grammar, but it gets the job done. The best part is that it remembers your conversation, so you can then ask for an explanation that's appropriate for a 10 or a 15-year-old without having to repeat the thing about the rainbows, just like you would in a real conversation. That's so much better than using a search engine. Once you've got all the different explanations from ChatGPT for different ages, you can piece together your own explanation that's just right for your child's level of understanding. And who knows, you might even learn something new along the way. I know I have. Okay, let's look at an example. My 8th grader was learning about the concept of begging the question in critical thinking. We did learn about that last year, but I remember it being a bit of a tricky concept. I wanted to be ready with a simplified explanation and some interesting examples, or at least examples that he would find interesting. ChatGPT really came through. The curriculum actually did a pretty good job of explaining the concept to my son, but to be sure, I also used the ChatGPT examples. He'd been sitting next to me on the couch during our discussion, going through the motions like a 13-year-old does. But when I tell you that the Minecraft and Zelda examples made him turn his body completely toward me and give me his undivided attention, I mean, he was actually eager and completely engaged. He wasn't just going through the motions of learning anymore. It was pretty awesome to see. So yeah, I'm a fan. The explanations you receive from ChatGPT might actually give you some teaching ideas beyond the simple explanation, but you can also explicitly ask for ideas for hands-on activities or even literature suggestions. So in this way, ChatGPT is an amazing resource that can make your life a lot easier, or at least your homeschool life. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that ChatGPT is still experimental. And last I looked, it was trained on data only up to about September 2021. So it's always a good idea to double check the information it gives you, especially if it's a concept that you're not too familiar with. Now let's talk about academic objectives. Academic objectives are like a roadmap for your child's academic journey. There are specific goals that are set up to help your child achieve academic success. If your child is in a public or private school, the school or school district will set up academic objectives per grade level, as I understand it. But when you're homeschooling, you get to set the academic objectives. But let's be real, setting those objectives can be daunting, especially if you're new to homeschooling. I usually recommend using a book like Home Learning Year by Year to help you set academic objectives, but ChatGPT can help with this too, by helping you define academic objectives or by providing examples of objectives for specific grade levels or subjects. For example, you can ask ChatGPT, what are some academic objectives for a 4th grade student in science? And voila! ChatGPT will provide you with a list of objectives like maybe exploring the solar system, understanding the water cycle, and identifying different types of rocks and minerals. And that's not all. ChatGPT can also give you advice on how to make your objectives measurable and achievable. This is all super helpful, but you may want to be sure to double check ChatGPT's responses with other sources to ensure you're getting a comprehensive list of objectives. Again, you can refer back to the book Home Learning Year by Year for that. So don't stress about setting academic objectives for your child because ChatGPT can be your guide and streamline the process. I love researching Curricula. I love it. It's so much fun to me. But it can be tedious with all the Googling and sifting through countless search engine results, trying to find the right homeschool curriculum for my child's needs. Well, ChatGPT is like having a virtual assistant that can help with all of that. For instance, if you're looking for good homeschool curriculum options for 3rd grade, all you have to do is ask ChatGPT and it'll give you a list of popular options. But the best part is that you can get more specific and continue the conversation by asking, what are the pros and cons of using the 3rd one? And you'll get a detailed explanation in return. But it gets even better. ChatGPT can give you personalized recommendations based on your child's interests and learning preferences. If you've gone through my Homeschool Planning Decoded course, you know that I recommend making a list of your child's 3 Ds, which include delights. I'll put a link to that video below. Knowing your kids' delights is especially helpful when it comes to choosing homeschool curricula for a subject in which your child struggles. For example, you might ask, what are some good homeschool math curriculum options for a child who loves Legos? Sure, I could have done a Google search, but I know that there are a million blog posts talking about how you can use Legos to teach math, so I would have needed to sift through all of that. And I'd rather get my specific question answered than have to come up with the right search words to get to the information I'm actually looking for. And that's what ChatGPT did. It's like having a homeschool expert right at my fingertips. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with homeschool curriculum research, give ChatGPT a try. Speaking of sifting through endless curriculum options, aren't you tired of spending hours doing that only to find that none of them quite fit your family's needs? Well, guess what? You can create your own custom curriculum in no time with the help of ChatGPT. Here's how it works. First, ask ChatGPT for appropriate academic objectives for a particular subject and grade level. This sets the context for the conversation, so it's a really important step. Compare the response to other sources to ensure that you're getting a comprehensive list. Again, use the book Home Learning Year by Year or something like that to complete this step. Next, tell ChatGPT to use those objectives or a modified version of them to create an outline for your curriculum, splitting it up into units. This might give you a lot of information, so ChatGPT may actually pause in the middle of it and look like it didn't complete the task. So just type in continue and it should continue with the response until it completes the outline. Okay, then you can continue the conversation with ChatGPT to create a lesson plan for each unit. You can even specify how many days each unit should cover. Refine your lesson plan even further by asking ChatGPT to update the lesson plan with specific activities, literature suggestions, and online resources. You can make it even more customized by asking for recommendations based on your child's interests and learning preferences. For example, if your child loves animals, ask ChatGPT to update your lesson plan with literature suggestions and hands-on activities related to animals. Just remember that while ChatGPT is an incredibly helpful tool, it's important to review and modify the lesson plan as needed to ensure it fits your family's unique needs, including your area's legal requirements for homeschooling. So if you're ready to take control of your homeschool curriculum and create a curriculum that's tailored specifically to your family, give ChatGPT a try. I think you'll be amazed by the results. Okay, I'm really excited about this one because I have spent literally hours and hours researching and compiling book lists. Anything that can make that process more efficient is a win in my book. So yeah, ChatGPT can help you create custom book lists. This is a perfect job for ChatGPT because its recommendations are based on a vast amount of data, so I know I'm getting a well-rounded selection of books. For example, if I wanted to create a book list for my 3rd grader, I could simply type in, create a book list for a 3rd grade student, and ChatGPT would generate a list of titles and authors for me. But I can also customize that prompt to fit my specific needs. I can ask for book suggestions that are teacher recommended on a specific topic, like maybe the American Revolution, if that's what we're studying, or on a topic that reflects my kids' interests. For instance, my 3rd grader loves animals, so I could continue the conversation and type, how about books about animals? and ChatGPT will generate a list of titles and authors that are relevant to that interest. But I tend to put all of this together. So at first I would assign ChatGPT a role in order to get better results. So I'd say something like, you are an elementary school language arts teacher. And then I would set the context by asking what types of books should a third grader read to meet language arts academic objectives. You can also refer to a book like Home Learning Year by Year to figure out what types of books your child should read in the coming year. But it's important to enter that prompt into ChatGPT in order to set the context for the conversation. After the role has been set, the context has been set, and I have a pretty good idea of what types of books my kids should be reading, I would then use that information to create a custom book list in a way similar to the following. Pretty powerful, isn't it? But remember, ChatGPT is an experimental tool, so it's still up to me as a homeschooling mom to pay close attention to the responses and evaluate each book and decide for myself if it's appropriate for my child's age and learning level, as well as my family's values. But overall, I found that it has the potential to be a huge time saver for creating book lists for my kids. Planning learning activities around a particular book can be a lot of fun, especially when you have a great book list to work with. But sometimes it can be tough to come up with creative ideas on your own, especially as a homeschool mom when you have so many responsibilities and distractions. So that's where ChatGPT comes in handy. With ChatGPT, you can create a book study by simply asking for learning ideas related to a particular book. For example, I asked for learning ideas for the book The Story of Ruby Bridges and received some fantastic ideas that I could use to dive deeper into the book with my kids. If you're not satisfied with the ideas presented, simply regenerate the response to get new, fresh ideas. Or you can ask for ideas for activities based on your child's particular delights and interests. You can then use ideas to create worksheets and notebooking pages, get supplies for a craft project, or even plan a field trip. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Now, instead of looking for learning ideas, you're going to need to look for your willpower to limit what activities you'll actually do. Since creating a book study is so easy peasy with ChatGPT, you can probably guess that creating a unit study is suddenly simple as well. And this may be something you want to do, especially with younger students, since you can choose a topic of high interest to them and then tailor the activities and even the length of the unit study to them. So for example, let's say that instead of purchasing a science curriculum for your second grader, you decide you want to do a series of sciencey unit studies instead. And first up is a study of the solar system. I did ask for links, but links in ChatGPT are usually trash since they're likely out of date due to the age of the training data. But who knows, you might get lucky. I've gotten lucky a couple of times. Anyway, don't stop with the first response. Customize it to make it exactly what you want. In this case, I could have asked for different literature suggestions or for a focus on the planets. I could have asked for ways to assess learning and even worksheet ideas. Or I could have created a book study, as previously discussed, out of one of the literature suggestions with ChatGPT's help, of course. Normally, creating a study like this would take hours and hours of research and combing through Google and Pinterest, but now you can create a unit study during nap time. I love all of these hacks, but wouldn't a little more detail be more helpful? Well, in my next ChatGPT video, I'm going to go into detail about how I'm using ChatGPT to figure out what my kids should be learning next year, their academic objectives. So I will see you there.